Okay, good morning again, everyone. The title of my paper is Relational Rhythms, Co-Imagining the Caribbean Through AI. This research investigates how artists navigate questions of authorship, ownership, and Caribbean cultural specificity as they adapt and reinterpret generative AI technologies to sustain local creative traditions. Drawing on 6 in-depth, semi-structured interviews with visual artists, writers, musicians, and producers in Trinidad and Tobago. These interviews were conducted via email in September and October 2025. I frame artistic intelligence as the human capacity to observe, imagine, and create through embodied experiential knowledge. In contrast, artificial intelligence operates through the recombination of data and pattern recognition. The tension between these two forms of intelligence offers fertile ground for rethinking what technology is and whom it serves. Through a technology of relations and collective improvisation, this research explores how engaging AI through Caribbean artistic intelligence can articulate co-imagination as a methodology for collaborating between embodied knowledge and computational possibility. Understanding this collaboration requires recognizing the human imagination as a generative force within science and technology. Artistic intelligence in this sense can bridge intuition and empirical observation. For example, research by Aragon demonstrated that Van Gogh's Starry Night captured the physics of turbulent flow with mathematical precision decades before Andrei Kolmogorov defined the mathematics of turbulence in the mid-20th century. Such examples show how artistic perception can encode complex patterns long before the mathematical language is developed to articulate the phenomenon. Art then can be understood as a form of embodied data, expressed through the body, senses, and imagination. Generative AI, however, allows artists to collectively imagine through algorithmic systems built from others' creative data, testing how their sound, style, and sensibility interact. Engaging artistic thought into digital space allows artists to co-imagine within their work to build alternative representations and foster cross-cultural dialogue at new speeds and scales. In an interview with music producer Kyle Phillips, who views the investment in AI tools such as Suno as a necessity, Phillips noted an estimated 10-fold increase this year in artists submitting AI-generated songs for music production. According to Phillips, AI has also expanded musicians' expression into the visual realm. He encountered more artists reinterpreting and critically deepening their practice through intermedia collaboration, now producing full thematic albums accompanied by AI-generated visuals. So this is just...
Hit voice into voicify and it becomes yes. So now this is the ChatGPT written song performed by AI Yes with my producers around. Oh, produced by me.
So that's an example of a song that he made, a soca song that he made with AI. The early song that followed. But right, moving forward now, Janelle Frontin of Createch Labs uses AI to animate characters from her novel's Yara Star trilogy for real-time narrative interaction. For Frontin, these raise important questions about cultural bias, emotional dependency, and narrative distortion. She describes the solution lies in integrating ethical reasoning at the architectural level of AI design rather than treating it as an afterthought. Frontin frames co-imagination as the collaborative construction of meaning between human and system. So this is an example of Janelle's work.
I'm Yara. My life's complicated. I've been tangled up with the Fodak tribe and the Skotats. People don't always believe me, even when I'm telling the truth.
So still, major concern remains the misrepresentation or flattening of Caribbean aesthetics. Caribbean cultural specificity missing from these platforms leaves creators to decide how to preserve, adapt, or omit elements of their tradition. Kyle Phillips describes much of the AI-generated work he co-creates as having a Caribbean pop twist as a result of using AI trained dominantly by non-Caribbean datasets. Veteran visual artist Jackie Hingston, who has been creating for over 6 decades, expressed his openness in using AI for preservation and his hesitations in using the tool for restoration to affect his artistic integrity. Similarly, musician Darren Ellis questions how artistic value is perceived when work is reproduced or transformed by AI as a result of dilution of creative authenticity. For the Caribbean, these issues are political. AI compels us to question our equity and visibility within global systems of artistic intelligence. When Caribbean works circulate without credit or compensation, histories of extraction are replayed in digital form. Thus, generative AI not only challenges creative practice, but reopens enduring debates about ownership, access, and the place of Caribbean imagination in the digital age. If uncritically adopted, AI systems risk reproducing the same power asymmetries that define colonialism. But what happens if we neglect to participate in developing these technologies? If during the creation of steel pan communities had kept their discoveries secret, never sharing their experiments in turning metal into melody, would the instrument have evolved at all? The steel pan emerged through collective improvisation, rival exchange, and the communal testing of sound. Through the lens of collective improvisation, refusing to interact with AI may in some ways resemble choosing not to play music outside of your community. This limits the dialogue that fuels innovation. The challenge then lies in engaging generative AI to ensure that our participation continues to reflect the relational intelligence that has always defined Caribbean artistic practice. Developing generative AI trained on Caribbean data sets could preserve cultural continuity by drawing from the rhythms, rituals, and stories that define our artistic practice. Musician Sheena Ajibola Richardson extends the idea of artistic intelligence from the individual to the community. She links artistic intelligence to the sacred lineage, grounding it in Afro-Indigenous traditions such as Orisha practices, spiritual Baptist rituals, and stick fighting. Richardson interprets technology itself as an extension of Ogun. Caribbean artists, by foregrounding embodied approaches to creation and community-based data practices, are uniquely positioned to envision Caribbean solutions for technology to become a site for repair rather than extraction. This involves redesigning AI through the region's own epistemologies and creative logics. In this context, reparative design means developing AI systems that honor historical memory, local languages, and environmental ethics that reflect Caribbean diversity rather than suppress it. Generative AI redistributes artistic power, expanding the creator's intention to allow AI users to reproduce an artist's style in new ways without consent. Once shared online, work becomes vulnerable to data extraction and incorporation into training data sets. This raises into urgent questions of fairness, authorship, and ownership. Embedding Caribbean data into AI systems ensures that memory and lived experience remain central even as artists experiment with generative technologies. It introduces new ways of remembering with new creations that extend the life of Caribbean art into new forms of discourse and encounter. Doing so not only strengthens our creative autonomy, but allows others outside of the region to engage with artistically intelligent data sets guided by Caribbean perspectives, so the Caribbean benefits equitably from its artistic contributions. The recent acquisition of the Banyan Archive by the government of Barbados highlights actions taken to preserve Caribbean heritage. Amilcar Sanatan, an interdisciplinary Caribbean artist, educator, and activist, values AI capacity to navigate large metadata sets and develop tools that enhance research, particularly in recovering overlooked Caribbean archives. He notes that AI-assisted searches even uncover documents referencing his father's participation in a 1991 conference. Concluding, grounding AI in development in Caribbean data sets invites new forms of engagement with memory and art, fostering the incorporation of fresh imaginations rooted in place, rhythm, and relation. The inward stretch, anchored in memory, ancestry, and embodied knowledge, grounds the region's creative ethics. The outward reach toward global technological exchange extends Caribbean artistry into new territories of innovation and discovery. By navigating this tension with critical awareness, Caribbean artists engage memory embedded in Caribbean art history in new ways. It transforms both art and AI into instruments of reparative imagination that affirm identity, reciprocity, and creative sovereignty.